Welcome to the Hodja on Architecture podcast. Vernacular Architecture Beyond Earth. Chapter 9, Future Extending Design in Space. In our previous episode, we stepped inside the Martian home to explore the rhythms of everyday life. Today, we step forward, to the future. What happens when a settlement no longer merely survives but begins to evolve? What does it mean for architecture to extend itself across time, culture, and planet? This episode looks beyond Mars to imagine the continuity of the vernacular, how wisdom rooted in Earth's soil may adapt, regenerate, and project itself into cosmic futures. Architecture has always been the medium through which humanity rehearses its future. Every wall built carries within it a hypothesis about tomorrow. Vernacular architecture, however, does this unconsciously. It extends the future without prediction through the slow intelligence of adaptation. The future for the vernacular is not a leap, but a rhythm. Each generation rebuilds, repairs, and slightly transforms what it inherits. This humble continuity, rather than sudden innovation, will guide architecture beyond Earth. The modern imagination often pictures the future as rupture, cities of chrome suspended in abstraction. Yet on Mars, futurism will give way to futurity, a state of ongoing adjustment. The first colonies will quickly learn that survival depends less on technology than on learning to inhabit the land with care. The new vernacular will be defined by feedback both between humans and machines, as well as between architecture and the environment. The future will not be designed once, it will be maintained continuously. Every vernacular culture has embodied this adaptive intelligence. The thatcher adjusted to each season's reed. The potter altered the clay composition according to the weather. The builder changed the proportions with available timber. Similarly, Martian architects will refine their habitats through observation and correction. Walls will thicken where radiation peaks, corridors will narrow to conserve heat, and solar membranes will reposition with the planet's tilt. Through such micro-adjustments, architecture becomes evolutionary, each dwelling a prototype, each prototype a lesson. Technology will amplify this process rather than replace it. Artificial intelligence, 3D printing, and biosensing materials will enable architecture that learns. Structures may record usage patterns, analyze energy flow, and alter configuration accordingly. Yet this is not a futuristic fantasy of automation. It is a revival of the vernacular principle of learning from place. The machine becomes a new craftsman, its precision echoing the old mason's intuition. Future extending design thus joins ancient empiricism with algorithmic responsiveness. Beyond functionality, the question of ecology defines the architecture of the future. Vernacular societies achieved sustainability through a circular logic. Nothing was wasted, everything was returned. Ash became fertilizer, water was reused, and structures were rebuilt from the ruins. Mars settlements will operate by the same necessity. Waste loops will close, air and water will recycle. Biological materials will regenerate. Architecture becomes metabolism. Walls, gardens, energy systems, and inhabitants form one continuous organism. This ecological coherence is not aesthetic. It is a survival ethic transformed into design language. In time, this regenerative architecture will develop a moral dimension. The ability to expand will depend on the ability to renew. Growth will no longer mean more buildings but better cycles. The old earthly narrative of progress, taller, faster, richer, will yield to a vernacular narrative of balance. Future extending design is therefore ethical design, restraint as sophistication. The most advanced settlements may appear modest. Clusters integrated with terrain, half buried to preserve temperature, quietly generating their own ecosystems. Their beauty will be in their equilibrium. But a future cannot thrive without memory. Vernacular architecture has always embodied cultural continuity, keeping stories alive through its geometry and ornament. The same will hold on Mars and beyond. As generations pass, settlers will imprint their experiences onto form, colors denoting regions, patterns celebrating discoveries, shared symbols marking milestones. Over centuries, these elements will create the first interplanetary vernacular, a network of familiar gestures bridging worlds. Architecture will become language once more, its dialects spreading across planets like spoken accents across valleys. With expansion comes reflection. The future that extends outward must also extend inward, toward Earth. The lessons learned in space will loop back, challenging how we build at home. Mars will teach architects to value scarcity, to design for repair, to measure time in centuries instead of quarters. The discipline will return humbled, rediscovering architecture as a form of care rather than conquest. Future extending design is therefore reciprocal. What leaves Earth ultimately transforms it. To design for the future is also to create in the face of uncertainty. Vernacular builders never controlled all variables, they built for change. Likewise, Martian architecture must anticipate mutation. As technologies shift, populations migrate, and climates alter, the built environment will need to flex rather than resist. Walls that unfold, domes that relocate, habitats that merge and divide, these are not fantasies but logical extensions of vernacular resilience. The goal is not permanence but persistence. At a deeper level, this adaptability redefines the concept of time in architecture. Modernity built for the instant, marked by grand openings and fixed skylines. Vernacular time is slower, circular, and recursive. A future extending architecture will embrace both speeds, the immediate response of intelligent systems and the long patience of maintenance. A house that updates its systems automatically, yet ages gracefully like stone, this synthesis of digital and temporal craft will define the aesthetics of the coming centuries. And what of human experience in such futures? As habitats evolve, so too will the rituals of living. Children born on Mars will not remember Earth's gravity or blue sky. Red light, low horizons, and rhythmic hums of machinery will shape their sense of home. Architecture must translate these conditions into a sense of belonging. Future extending design, therefore, includes pedagogy, teaching inhabitants to feel at home in the unfamiliar. Vernacular builders always did this, making shelter from strangeness, transforming environment into memory. The same act will continue among the stars. Eventually, as colonies multiply, new architectural genealogies will form. Some settlements may specialize in agriculture, others in science, others in art. Each will develop distinct spatial typologies that reflect their collective purpose. Over time, these typologies will evolve through exchange. Modules traded, design codes shared, rituals hybridized. This is how culture migrates, through form. What began as a single Martian vernacular will diversify into planetary families of design. The future of architecture, far from uniform, will be richly regional again. Regions not of geography, but of adaptation. Philosophically, future extending design reframes the architect's role. Instead of a master planner, the architect becomes a curator of evolution. The task is to guide processes rather than dictate results, to compose open systems that invite transformation. This humility mirrors that of vernacular builders, who worked in harmony with nature rather than against it. The new design ethos will thus be participatory, temporal, and ecological. Architecture not as a monument, but as an ongoing conversation. Ultimately, the extension of architecture into space extends our understanding of humanity itself. To build beyond Earth is to rediscover what it means to inhabit responsibly. The vernacular reminds us that design is not only creative but also reproductive. It sustains worlds as much as it shapes them. Every dome, corridor, and courtyard on Mars will carry this awareness. That architecture is an inheritance we pass forward, not a possession we consume. The future, then, is not elsewhere. It begins wherever we build with awareness, restraint, and care. Future extending design makes this continuity explicit, transforming vernacular wisdom into cosmic practice. In the next and final episode, we return to Earth, looking back from a distance and asking what this journey beyond has taught us about our home planet. The vernacular village has always been our map of the past. Now it becomes our atlas of the future among the stars. This concludes Chapter 9 of Vernacular Architecture Beyond Earth, Future Extending Design in Space. Thanks for listening. See you in the next episode.